Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to the class. So now this is the sleeves, and on the sleeve we have two parts. It's not like the normal shirt sleeve you all know. Shirt sleeve is just one, while suits have two parts. This is the bigger part, this is the smaller part. The smaller part stays behind your arm towards the armpit, while the bigger part will be at the front side. So now this is how it looks like. As you can see, the curve is there and the curve at the top, then the length with the same extension, almost like the one on the back vent. So on this extension, this is how it's been bended. Now after getting your full sleeve length, what you did on the back vent, you gum your 2 inches, same thing too to the sleeve. You bend the down part of this bigger one and you bend the side of this bigger one. On this big part, you bend the side with 2 inches, you bend it down with 2 inches, and you bend it down with 2 inches, then the side too with your marking point of half inches, just the way it is. So now this is how it looks like. You can see. So on the smaller part, the smaller part looks like the bigger part, but it has a different shape from this top, so not more like this one. So now the same thing too, what we did on this hem point will still be the same thing on this other part. So on this other part, we're still going to gum the down, then we bend 2 inches. So now on this smaller part, we only bend the downside, not together with the side. So the side will be on its own, while on the bigger part it will be bended. So now after we've gotten our sleeves being gummed and bended, now the next step we are supposed to do is for we to get the lining as well. The lining too should be on a double part. So now you place, assuming we have a full lining, just the way this one is now, like this, and we want to cut out the sleeve. This is how it's being cut. You cut exact, both from the side to the top side to this other side. Then now you can see like an extension of half inch here. It's not actually an extension, just the way this one is being extended, now because we bended half inch inside here. Now if we are to open this place, now you can see it's up to the edge. So now we are using this edge now as the settings. So as it is like this, it's being bended with half inch. That is why you see from this part getting to the end, we left a half inch. Now this is how the lining is going to be cut. So the same thing too goes to the smaller part. The way you cut this one, that's how this one too will be cut. But the difference of this smaller one and this one is this bigger part is being bended, while this smaller one is not bended. So in other words, we are not cutting the lining the same shape the way the main body is. We're going to cut the lining straight, just the way all you need to do is just for you to follow up the shape or the curve of the sleeve. That is all. So after you've cut out your lining, you're supposed to demarcate your good side and wrong side. Remember, these are two. The inner parts are the right side, so you demarcate your wrong and right sides. So likewise this one too. Now, after you've gotten your lining, the next step is for you to know how to join them together to form a complete sleeve. Now we're going down to the machine and we fix it so you can see. Now we have successfully cut the lining. Now for we to join the lining, the first step is you pick the smaller part. The way it is now, this is it. You can see the line here. You bend it to your line, then you stitch point 2. Now is for you to seal this edge. For you to seal this edge, you pick the second one too. You do the same thing to the other one. So now these sleeves now are both left and right. So once you're done sealing this first edge, you can now cut your thread. Please ensure you always cut your thread to make your work more neater. So now, after you've sewn, from this beginning of your stitch, you notch on the edge. The same thing to this other side, you notch, so you can be able to turn it successfully. So now once you turn it, you ensure you try to push the remaining pieces out like this. So that is all for this smaller part. Now coming for the big part of the sleeve, this is how it is. So now for we to seal this edge too, since the pattern, this one is bended and the other one is not bended. Now what we are supposed to do now is pick your scissors, come closer. You can see there is an angle here. So from this angle you can notch a little. So once you notch, that notch now will enable you to have a good setting on where to hold. So now you turn it this way. Now this is the notch on this part and this is the notch on this part. So you keep them together, notch to notch. So you sew from there to this point. So to this point, you pick the second part of the front and the sleeve. You give it a notch as well. You turn it, then you stitch together. So the same thing too will be sewn on this part. So after you've done that successfully, then you cut off your thread, then you pull, use your finger to pull it out. So now it will now be like this. Then you can push the remaining excess like this. We do the same to the other part. Push it out. So now for we to join the sleeve together, that is both the big and small, this is what we are supposed to do. Now you get a good setting. Now you can see the sleeve is looking as if it's not of the same shape, but don't get lost with the shape of the sleeve. That is how it's supposed to be. It's not set to be straight. So you set it from here, you set it from here. Ensure you can see now on this part it's not looking straight like this, because ideally the sleeve is not straight. It has curves and some shapes on it, so you're not expecting to get this place being straight like this. Once you have it straight like this, that means there must be an error, so you must have to make an adjustment like this and ensure this one is a little bit down with like 0.2 away from the edge, and ensure these edges are equal. So once you've gotten that setting, you can now just give it a small stitch in form of a tag and hold them together. Once you hold them together, you can now sew from where you notch on the smaller part of the sleeve. You ensure you make them flat first. So once you make them flat, you can now just hold the two parts together. Then you sew from your notched area. So once you sew, you get to this side, you turn. You get to this side, you turn. You ensure you are working with your seaming allowance, please. Your seaming allowance must not exceed ½ inches. If possible, you sew 0.4, not up to ½ inches. So once you can use that as a guideline, it will help you get the result you are supposed to get. So you sew it to the top. So now this is how it is. So now on this video I'm going to make only one sleeve for you. So once you are able to get the knowledge of this one sleeve, you should be able to make the second one, because they are all the same thing. What you do on right is applicable to the left side. So now this is the settings. This is the settings. After you've joined the big and small together, you can see it's not as if it's flat. It has some curve on it, but that should not give you a challenge. Now after you've joined this, assuming we've joined the second one already, now you pick your lining. You join both the big and the small together, just the way you did on the fabric part. So you ensure you join it from the upside. For the fabric, we start from the down to the upside, while for the lining part, we start from up to the down part. So ensure you make use of your 0.4 seaming allowance, but please, it mustn't extend 0.5. Better use is 0.4. So once you can achieve this, so we join the second one too. We join it down. So once you have succeeded in doing this, then how do you know this lining is for left and this lining is for right? Now this is the settings. Once you keep it like this is the wrong side of the fabric and this is the wrong side of the lining. Now once you place it like this and you see this line are not aligning together, that means there must be an error. So once you pick this lining and you see these lines are not together, that means the lining is for the other sleeve. Now you drop the lining and you pick the second one. Now once you place it like this and you see they are of the same side, that means it's suitable for the part of the sleeve. Now since we have gotten the right lining for this particular sleeve, now this is how it's been joined. Now remember, this place is not equal, so that must not get you confused, please. This is the setting. This is the setting, isn't it? Now you place it like this. Ensure this your stitch thread goes together with this one to ensure the balancing of the sleeve. Now after you've gotten your setting, you can now hold them together like this, ensuring they are positioned well. So after now, you now sew 1/2 inch, and you must not start from the beginning. You can leave at least 1 inch or 1 inch rather away from the main edge of the sleeve. You reinforce, then you sew. So once you're sewing, you will get to a point in which you cannot cross. Once you're sewing, you get to discover you can't exceed a particular point. So now, as you can see now, I can't cross like this because this place is too choked. So you get to a point in which you stop, then you pull out your thread, then now this is how it is. You sew from 1 inch away from this edge to the inner part of this place. Now you can see a sign of thread here. This is where your sewing will stop. After it's stopped here, then you can now rearrange it back, having it placed like this. You have sewn one side, remaining this other side. Now how do we get to this other side, since we can't sew them together? That should not give you a challenge. All you need to do now is still place your lining the way it is earlier. You still hold them together. Now inside this place, when you touch it, when you're doing yours, you touch it, you can feel the edge of this place. You can feel this edge from this other part. So now once you can feel the edge of this other part from this other part, then that should give you a guideline on where to start from. So you now reinforce from that point, then you complete the joining of the lining. So the same thing too, you stop like 1 inch away from the main edge of the side. So you cut off the thread. Now this is how it is. So now this is how it is. So after you've succeeded in joining the fabric to the lining, this is how it will look like, and this is how it is. So now after this part, we can now go to the table to iron out this place, so it will give us a nice fit. So now we go to the table and do that. So now we've come to the pressing table. Now as you can see, now the sleeve is not straight. You can see how it's looking as if it's puffy. That shouldn't give you a challenge. You turn it to the wrong side, just the way you did on the back. you ensure you sprinkle water to press it down. Ensure you always press what you've sewn sideways first before you press it open. So, and ensure you make use of your pounding block. In case you don't have, you can meet any of your friend or a carpenter to make one for you. So now after you've pressed it one side, then you cannot press it open. To some extent you'll find it a bit difficult for you to press it straight due to how puffy the sleeve looks like, but that shouldn't give you a challenge. That is a symbol of good sleeve. So just don't bother yourself, just ensure you press it open. So once you get to this edge, you get to discover you cannot press it open due to what is there. So you don't need to get bothered. You press it one side, it will still fit. So this is how it is, like this. So the same thing too to the same thing too to the lining part. You press it one side. So if you remember, on the back part, when we want to iron the lining, we said we don't need to press it open. You just press it one side, that one will serve. So you press it one side like this. So once you press it one side and you try to balance off the sleeve, you press this other side too to ensure it's kind of flat. So once you're done ironing the lining, you can turn it on the right side too. Then you make use of your pressing cloth. You sprinkle water on it, then you can press it down. So once you press it down, this is how it will look like. And if you are to hold it sideways, you can see how it is. So this is how the shape of the sleeve looks like. So this is the bigger part and this is the small part. Now our sleeves now is coming out step by step. So now since we are done with this side, we go back to the machine and we seal the other part of this side. So let's now go back to the machine. Now we are now back to the machine. This is how the sleeve looks like. Now we are about to join the side together. So you turn it to this side. Now you're going to join lining to lining, fabric to fabric. So when you want to join this side, you are supposed to confirm the round sleeve of who you are making the suit for. Now I'm having 11 here. If I'm to sew half inches, the wrist now will now be 10. So please always ensure you get the right wrist before you go ahead with your joining. So now I'm holding half inches. So this is it. I sew my half inch from the down to the upside. Please ensure you sew accurately, because there's no how you sew half inch here, you sew more than half inch here. It will give the sleeve a different fitting entirely. So ensure your hand goes well. So you sew it to the top. Don't worry, when we get to the drafting part, you will get to see how we draft the sleeve, the back and the front. So we just try to see how we can fix the sleeve first. So now after you've joined your 1/2 inch, so now for you to join the lining part, you try to compare the two places together. So now you know when you sew a little here, you will have excess on this part. So you hold your fabric and you hold your lining. Whichever one suits it well, that is where you're going to sew. So now this place is where my sewing will be from. So I stay here and stitch. So this one too, we're going to stitch it to the upside. So once you've gotten to the top, then remember we sew the fabric different, we sew the lining different. So last part now, we're going to seal, you know, now there's an opening here, so we're going to seal this side. So we seal the side with our normal 1/2 inch sewing. So after this moment, please just put it at the back of your mind. Suit making deals with ironing. Every step you take requires ironing, so don't feel as if you'll be working without iron. So now we have joined the side, we've joined the lining, and we have sealed it down. Next thing now we are supposed to do on this sleeve, now we go back to the pressing table and we press it open, then we turn it.
We tag na people we tag from live. Na Facebook tag. What you missing? One.
The one almost finished.
Two. Go.
On a small stitch. Now we are back onto the machine. All what we need to do now is just a step to the finishing of the sleeve. Now you know we have two parts here. We have one part here and we have one part here. So now we are stitching this part to this part of the lining together, so it will stick together. So now you hold these two parts together, then you now stitch. That is all. So once you stitch like this, you can now pull your sleeve out. So this is how it will look like. Now this is our sleeve. So now this is our sleeve. So now we have completed our sleeve. And remember, whatever you do on this sleeve must be applicable to the other part of the sleeve. Now this is the right sleeve. This is how it is. Although this is not my size, but this is how it looks like. So now you can go back to your table, and although it's optional, you can now press this place downward just to ensure it's flattened enough. Thank you very much. I still remain Samson Alibra Sunday, the host of Suit Cruise. Thank you very much.